really don't understand. Freedom has many difficulties, but we have never had to put a wall up to keep our people in.
Desperate, so desperate, these libtards, guys. They are becoming terrorists these days, terrorizing all the Tesla owners.
Oh, no.
Wow. Anyway, welcome to the Leo Zagami Show with Leo and Christy for this incredible episode filled with news. Some of you, of course, will tune in regards to the title of this show. Not knowing that Judge Boasberg is a Bonesman, or that the infamous now Judge Roberts is himself a Jesuit agent. But guys, here we are relying accurate information, as you know, and we are ready to unveil also this big propaganda stunt.
Was this Pope Francis?
Yes, Pope Francis is apparently resurrecting tomorrow and going to Santa Marta. But until I see it with my own eyes, him walking out of the hospital and going to the car and going to Santa Marta, I'm never going to believe it. But
what if they use AI? Can they do that?
I don't know. There is a lot to discuss today. We have that, and then we have this alleged discovery of this whole room or city or big Z energetic thing under the second pyramid. Yes, the one next to the one, not the Kefre, one of the biggest, the second biggest. But it is a story that connects us to somebody that I have exposed in volume 1. So that is of interest, especially because they're talking all over the internet about it, even Joe Rogan, but very few people know who these guys, these Italians who have been involved with the whole thing are. And once you know who they are, it's sounding more like pseudoscience than real science. But anyway, welcome all of you to the Leo Zagami Show with Leo and Christy. And thanks to our sponsors. Who are our sponsors, Christy?
Daniel Estes and Malgorzata Minta and Dr. Faro.
Dr. Faro with his great products, guys. My favorite this week is this one. Let me show it to you. Carvacrol. Now, there is a lot of people that tend to take oregon oil, you know, but when you take it in your mouth, it's really harsh. Now, this is made out of the same substance, the best of the best, because the products of Dr. Faro are renewed for being made out of organic, no? So carbacrol is present in the essential oil of Origanum vulgare, as it's known in Latin. And I tell you, it's fantastic. It can solve so many of your problems. Of course, we have a disclaimer, Christy, to read.
These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended for diagnosis, treat, or cure or prevent any disease, but we're not saying that, are we?
No.
We're just saying that it's going to make you feel better.
And they can improve your immune system, and you can find them at drfaro.com. Let me show you the fantastic website of Dr. Faro. He's old school. So as he's old school, you have to actually call him rather than order it online. Dr. Faro likes to have a direct relation with the people that
use his products.
That use his products. So he is
not some Chinese company with some Chinese man behind it or whoever.
In any case, if you are near Lake Wales in Florida, you can also use him. He's an excellent doctor, excellence in medicine, and the phone number is 863 676-2225 +1 if you call from outside the United States. His products and services and techniques are all described here. Buona Vita, the location where you can find him. This is the address aside from the phone number. And he's a great patriot. And so support Buona Vita, which means good life. Christy likes other products, but we will be talking about those later.
I like Carbatrol too.
Yeah.
Carbatrol.
Carbatrol.
I haven't used the drops. I usually buy the drops from Greece. I haven't used them. I haven't needed to use them.
I mean, the drops are pretty harsh. They are hardcore, Instead, with this, you just pop one and there you go. You can, have it just after breakfast in the morning, and it makes your immune system much stronger, guys. Believe me.
Yeah.
So here we are. GoFundMe on the screen for those who want to continue to sponsor our show. We are 2 times a week with you. During the week, we talked about the Jesuits. We were supposed to have a guest, but we're actually going to have him in May. And that's going to be even better because in May, there's a big surprise for all of you. I'm not going to discuss it yet because I tend to it's a surprise. It's a surprise, big surprise. Okay, somebody asked me, what do you think about the release JFK files? And this is a very good question. And I would like to answer, first of all, by showing a video of Judge Napolitano. Judge Napolitano recently has been also in Moscow interviewing Lavrov, but in this brief clip which I'm about to show you, he talks about his own personal chat with Trump in regards to the JFK files. This chat was, of course, happened at the end of Trump's first presidency. But look at what Judge Napolitano says. It's very interesting.
Conversation with President Trump in the White House. He called me a lot. And this is after January 6th. So it's 2 weeks before, or a week before he's leaving office. He wanted to run past me the names of people he was going to pardon and sentences he was going to commute. He wanted my opinion on them. Some of them I knew. I said, how you doing? He said, not too well. And he went off into a tangent about what he thought happened with the election. I said, you made a promise to the public many times and to me privately that you haven't kept. What? I'll take care of it right now. I said, you promised you would release the records of the JFK assassination. He said to me, Judge, if they showed you what they showed me, you wouldn't have released it either. And I said, who's they and what did they show you? And then he said, Judge, someday when we're on the phone, and then he raised his voice, and there aren't 15 people listening to the phone call, back to a normal voice, I'll tell you.
Oh my God.
I mean, this makes it sound even worse. Who are they? Probably somebody in the intelligence community. What did they show him? JFK's brains blown out?
This is it. You know, it was said by one person that after the Kennedy assassination, there has been no president. They have only been factotums of the system since then.
Yeah.
It may well be the most decisive event in modern American history.
And so some of the files have been released. But guys, here we are talking about something that, of course, might change our perception of the whole intelligence apparatus of the United States. When he said 15 is actually the number of intelligence agencies there are in the United States. So it wasn't just a number that came out of thin air. This means that we have, of course, already a few thousand files that a lot of people have analyzed. We have seen the particular, maybe regarding the fact that Lee Harvey Oswald wasn't a great shooter, so he could have never pulled off what he did in Dallas on its own. That was the KGB said in Russia. We saw also that he wasn't really a lone wolf. He was well known by all the various people in the intelligence communities, both on the Russian side as well as the American side. Remember, guys, that at that time during the Cold War, there were double, triple, quadruple agents, people that were kind of very fluid in the way they were gambling in what is known as the great game. So he was not that lone wolf they always depicted. And that is the first thing we had confirmation of from the first installment of documents that we have been able to analyze and still will analyze, because there are thousands and it will take a long time even for the most skilled historian. However, there is a missing link. The missing link is, of course, the link that will probably expose once and for all the CIA. However, we also had confirmation from this installment of the dislike that the Kennedy and his brother had towards the CIA. So they had dislike towards the CIA. And at the same time, we know that the CIA then asked Cosa Nostra to eliminate Lee Harvey Oswald, and that is also something that they don't want to really clarify, because that's something that brings up bad connections. But in my book, guys, volume 11 of my confessions, this is an important book which I suggest you all get. This guy is very important in regards to Kennedy's assassination, just as this guy attempted to kill Donald J. Trump, and this is, of course, Lee Harvey Oswald. This book, Christy, at one point talks about Oswald-CIA relationship, and it's in this book that you will find the connections, especially this paragraph here. Please read it, Christy.
The CIA's claim to not have contact with Oswald is undercut by George D. Mohrenschildt, a CIA asset who became friends with Oswald in the months before the assassination. That spring, D. Mohrenschildt traveled to New York, Philadelphia, and Washington, and according to documents found in the newly declassified files at the same time as his trip, the CIA's Domestic Operations Division ran a search on George D. Mohrenschildt. An exact reason unknown was given. According to two documents created by a CIA analyst, which were included in Biden's 2022 declassification.
No, I mean, there was a declassification also, let's not forget, during Biden's presidency, but just as the previous one during Trump's presidency, they were incomplete. Now, Trump has promised an unredacted installment, which arrived, but then we have still some missing links and missing documents that need to be released. We're talking about thousands of documents. It takes time, of course. Trump seems to be willing to unveil everything. He doesn't have a problem with some self-criticism in regards to institutions like the CIA or the FBI. He himself himself has been very critical of them in the past. So if you want to know more also about Lee Harvey Oswald time in Russia, what happened prior to that in Japan when Lee Harvey Oswald was in the Marines, guys, volume 11. This is the best book for the past, present, and future. Mind control, from Sun Tzu to MK Ultra and beyond. Let's not forget who was the first one, though, to translate Sun Tzu. Probably Lorenzo Ricci, a general of the Jesuits. So that gives it all out. In regards to what is happening at the moment with Boasberg, Judge Boasberg. Now, in our last episode, we showed how Judge Boasberg is a Skull and Bones member. But today I wanted to go a little bit deeper in this whole connection, because there has been a lot of talk about Judge Roberts, Judge Boasberg, all belonging to a specific, let's say, club. And it is a sort of club, guys, that we need to clear up a few things in regards to this club, also in regards to the Skull and Bones, because these days the Skull and Bones is ever so inclusive and ever so open to diversity, equity, and inclusion. The Skull and Bones of Judge Boasberg is no longer the so-called white club of George W. Bush and George Bush father only. It's not just for white dudes anymore. Check out the difference. Now, this was George W. Bush at the time in the Skull and Bones, and this is the Skull and Bones of today, which seems like, I don't know what, a reunion of Democrats. This guy is licking the ear of this other guy, and they all seem very happy in their open. The fact of diversity, equity, and inclusion is also, by the way, discussed in detail in volume 11 of my Confessions, because it goes and influences the whole intelligence community and security apparatus. But in regards to this judge with a very, I mean, I don't want to say evil face, but guys, he has an evil face. That's how he is. James Boasberg is now, of course, the guy who wanted all those Trent-Heragua MS-13 people brought back to the United States from El Salvador. The way he looks, even.
Yeah, I was thinking that when I made the thumbnail. God, because I had to cut his head out. And I'm like, God, he's so evil looking. I mean, he doesn't look as, he looks more evil than the other guy. When I put their faces together.
Judge Roberts.
Yeah.
You mean Judge Roberts. You mean Judge Roberts.
Yeah.
Well, I agree. Judge Roberts looks more innocent, but don't be deceived by looks, because Judge Roberts is just as bad, trust me. And so this is a judge Boasberg. Everybody says nominated by Obama, but in reality, he was not only an Obama creation. And we went briefly on it the other day, but it's important that we resume this whole thing so we can synthetically give you a bio that is correct and understandable. You see, he was first appointed by George W. Bush. Then, of course, Barack Obama nominated him later on for U.S. District Court. But
those two work hand in hand together, don't they?
Yes, absolutely. There is no difference between the neocons and of course, he attended and he became a Skull and Bones undergraduate. I mean, this is not Leo Zagami making things up. This is information that was confirmed and is confirmed by credible sources. Nobody's talking at the moment about Boasberg as a member of the Skull and Bones. They rather like to point their finger on something else, which is this organization, which I'm going to show you now, which I know very well. And I tell you in a moment why I know this organization very well. This organization, American Inns Court, is a sort of paramasonic organization dedicated to people who are in the legal world. It's based on a similar organization in England. that is based in the there where the Knights Templars are buried in London. And also it's a place I know because a former girlfriend of mine who was a barrister was part of this organization, the Temple Bars organization right here. So I actually went to their meetings. I know this place and I know what kind of place it is. That's why everybody immediately said, okay, the connection between Roberts and Boasberg is to be found there. I don't blame them for saying that, because in reality there is some connections. Definitely, like I'm going to show you in a moment, there is a connection, but the connection is of course also the skull and bones, which is a much stronger connection, which gave birth to his own career. All these judges, here is Ketanji Brown from the Supreme Court. She is a Democrat, and she is part of this because they have various chapters, the American in Court. Now, the Edward Bernard Williams American in Court seems to have walked out of the, let's say it's a little bit like Freemasonry. At times lodges make themselves independent, create schism. Well, this chapter became independent from the national one, didn't want to pay dues anymore to the national one and stayed independent. But look at the vice president. The vice president is Ketanji Brown, and the president is James Boasberg. Now, in regards to Roberts, he's nowhere to be found, at least, but they say that he has joined it's a little bit like the Mother Lodge, the one in England. And it's a little bit like Freemason. I love the film. I remember when I went there in their headquarters, it was a little bit like Harry Potter's you remember the play in Harry Potter, you have the long table with it was a little bit like that, the kind of scenario and the way. I mean, you've been in London and you've been initiated in London in that kind of, in the city there, no? Well, it wasn't far from there. Temple is basically quite close to the area there, the Temple Bar, and it's also a place where you see that image I have, that little image I have in the other room with those Templars buried. That is actually from the church. It's a depiction of that church. Get it? If you want, you can get it. That is directly from. It is. If you want, we can show our viewers in London. This is a place called the Temple Church. And it's dusty a little bit. I need dust. You have in this in London this Templars. Before you show it, I like to show the image from the actual an actual photo of the place before you show the depiction. I have which is it's 19th century, I think. Drawing of it, but let me see, because this is the area where the Temple Church is and where these Templars are buried. Here it is, and then you have, this is the place, and then in this place you have also these Templars who are there, lying there, and then of course you have them here.
You can do it.
See? And this is an antique from, you see, it's over 100 years old, it says in the back, and it's basically, so this is all from the same area. The Temple Bar is in the same area. It was very close. It's all in the same area of London. And there is, of course, a connection here. So Judge Roberts, though, is also a Catholic. He's a Catholic that has been very much brought up by the Jesuits. So if we, this is very easy to understand, this whole connection here. I mean, when you have people like Boasberg, I mean, when you have these people going after Trump, you understand who is behind it. I mean, of course, there is a lot of pressure now on Roberts, but because what happened was this: Trump wanted Boasberg to be removed as a judge, and Roberts, who is part of the Supreme Court, intervened immediately and said, no, this is something Trump can't do. And so then there was a post that they say falsely claim federal judiciary members are in a secret club undermining Trump. Now, that secret club, they say, is the Americans Inc. Court, which is the one I told you, based on the Temple Bar one in London. And they say, no, but it's hardly secretive. And in any case, they say that Boasberg and other professionals that basically he's a member of this organization, part of the confirmation, but he's not currently an active member. Roberts, they say, is currently an active member. In reality, we discovered that he is a member, but in London, and Boasberg is the president of the Edward Bennett Williams in Court, but the chapter, they say, disaffiliated from the parent association. But what does it mean, disaffiliated? You still have Katanji as the vice president. It's like a lodge gone rogue. It's not even rogue. It's simply that they don't want to pay their dues to their mother organization. It happens many times in this organization, and they want to go independent, and they want to do that. So it's even more easy for them now that they are not in the national organization to let people in without registering them, like Judge Roberts. Okay. So the fact that Associated Press did even a disclaimer with this article makes you understand, though, that they are a little bit worried of this exposure. Okay. Now, in regards to this James Boasberg, we know that he is trying to create problems for Trump. I mean, you just have to go on Google in the last few hours and see what he's doing. He's trying to create problems for Trump in any way possible and imaginable, especially because he considers what Trump has enacted, the Alien Enemies Act, something that wasn't permitted in his view of things. Here we have Judge Boasberg says Trump use of the Alien Enemies Act, and he criticized it. Incredibly troublesome. Judge grills the OJ over alleged gang members' deportation. Now, why are they so worried about these gang members and about their rights? There has been people who were thrown into jail for entering Capitol Hill who were not terrorists, who were patriots, who had their life ruined. We had an interview with one of them, and nobody cared that they were thrown into cells without proper food, without proper medical treatment and other things. But they are all worried about the Trent Teragua. No, but they say until they admit they are into the gang, they could be just innocent. Okay, so you are tattooed with the symbols of MS-13, with the symbol of Trenerawa, because they have tattoos that to recognize each other. And those are not the kinds of tattoos the guys who goes on a spring break makes, guys. That is a serious tattoo that you do because you are part of a satanic sect. Because another thing that has not been discussed here, and I can prove you, this is very serious what I'm about to say here. At that prison in El Salvador, they have discovered that many of the prisoners have satanic symbols, and they have participated in satanic masses when they were caught even. What? They found that they had satanic altars and stuff. They are Satanists. These gangsters are not just gangsters. They are Satanists. Okay? So people like Judge Roberts, like the Skull and Bones Boasberg, who go and defend them, it's outrageous. It's outrageous. Judge calls Trump's use of Alien Enemies Act problematic and concerning. No, it's very problematic and concerning that you are going rag as a judge, but you're not right. The judiciary is corrupt, guys. guys. It's corrupting the whole Western world. Unfortunately, I had to leave it on myself, this injustice, these judges that are politicized in Italy, and the same thing happens here in America.
That's terrible.
It's terrible. Of course, it's terrible. So today we are showing you how a bonesman like Boasberg is connected to a Jesuit like Roberts, because remember, guys, I remember once Eric Phelps, no, he said, and this is
Who's Eric Phelps?
Eric Phelps is let's say somebody who has written extensively about the Jesuits, at time a little bit too, I don't know if I can share all of his views, because he's fervently anti-Catholic, so he has, but in any case, I cited him also in my books at times, because when, for example, he says that George W. Bush was the most Catholic president we had, even if he's not Catholic, his brother is, his brother that lost with Trump, Jeb Bush, he's actually Catholic, he's part of the Knights of Columbus, but George W. Bush officially is not Catholic, but he was Catholic in the way he was acting. And actually, Tony Blair wasn't Catholic when he was a prime minister, but soon after he finished his term as prime minister of Britain, he became Catholic.
Why on earth did J.D. Vance become Catholic?
Now, J.D. Vance, and this is important, like others, believes that there is still a good side to the Catholic Church. And I believe that there is a good side to the Catholic Church. When, a couple of days ago, Bishop Strickland, who was kicked out from his position by Pope Francis, you remember in November 2000, because he criticized the drag queens Bishop Strickland is a bishop I held in high esteem. Him and another 100 Catholic priests went to bless a statue of Fatima at Mar-a-Lago just 2 or 3 days ago. We have the images here, and I think it was a great moment. I think it was a great moment. Real Catholics still exist, though they are a minority. Always the same singer that opens also our show with our MAGA Counter Cognitive Warfare opening track. Here with 100 priests led by Bishop Strickland. And when I talk somebody who is really a good bishop, because of course, if you are attacked by Pope Francis, you must be good. That's what I say. Pope Francis in November 2023, on Saturday in November 2023, dismissed Bishop Strickland of Tyler in Texas, one of his fiercest critics among U.S. Roman Catholic conservatives, after he refused to step down following evading an investigation. It is very rare for a bishop to be relieved of his duty outright. And the fact that he led 100 priests in this holy moment in Mar-a-Lago for the blessing of a statue, because apparently after what happened in July, Trump has, with Melania, gone often to pray to the Holy Mary and feels like a connection. So this was a very special moment, I think. And I'm glad that I was able to show it to you. Like what I'm showing you now, it's instead the sign of something weird going on with Pope Francis. Now, we've been discussing the fact that Pope Francis was, just simply frozen in a...
We call him dead like a month and a half ago.
No, but since
We
then...
pronounced his death.
No, well, but the thing is, question mark. Is he dead? Because then there was all kinds of speculations coming alive.
And then...
Yeah.
In Italy, there's all these influencers that are going around and they don't think that he's dead.
No, they think that he's dead.
They think that he's dead.
Yeah, and
they're
but
lying.
they were saying what I said, that maybe his voice was actually mimicked by the AI, that he was maybe frozen and they were simply using it for his ring, which is a seal that you need on the documents.
They were basically saying what he said on our last show.
And the Vatican wrote an article this week, published a declaration condemning all the people who were
the day after we did the show too.
yeah, that was incredible. But let me show you what the doctors are saying, because yes, they're saying that he's going to be dismissed by the hospital Gemelli, and he will go back to Santa Marta where he resides. But then there is two clips here. On the first one, they say he's going to be dismissed. On the second one, it says he's going to be out of order basically for 2 months. And yesterday we had also the Vatican saying that he has to learn how to talk again. So if we don't see him with our own eyes and he can't talk, the Vatican could be lying to us and just
imagine that, the Vatican lying. No way.
In any case, this is what they said about the fact that he's being now dismissed from the Gemelli Hospital.
La buona notizia che immagino che aspetta.
So this is the good news.
Domani il Santo Padre è in dimissione.
He's gonna basically be released. Now, that is the first clip. The second clip instead is telling us that for 2 months the doctors want him to be extremely cautious, and so
he can't talk. He has to learn how to talk again,
and he doesn't have to have any contact with anyone.
Da parte di tutta l'equipe dei medici che hanno seguito il Santo Padre qui al Gemelli c'è la prescrizione di continuare parzialmente le terapie farmacologiche che dovrà ancora effettuare per molto tempo. So
for a long time he will have to keep these cures, these pharmacologic cures, and for 2 months basically he will be under observation and he will not be able to carry on his duties. What I don't understand is, like, Pope Joseph Ratzinger, he resigned for much less. He was actually in good shape compared to Pope Francis now when he resigned. And he kept on being in relative good shape. You remember, he was actually playing the piano, his little dogs, going around with Father Georg in the gardens and stuff. I mean, okay, in the last few months, we saw some pictures that were pretty disturbing of Ratzinger when he was really about to die. But still...
what was his age?
I don't remember the exact age which Ratzinger died. Let me check it out. But I mean, Ratzinger died. Let me see, on the 31st of December 2022 at the age of 95.
So he was a lot older.
A lot older, but he was in his 80s, a lot more healthy than Pope Francis, for sure. Yeah. And he was forced into resigning. That's what I've always said also in Pope Francis the Last Pope, my book, and in all the other books that followed, and that described basically this coup d'etat that the Jesuits orchestrated to take over the Vatican completely and to install this Pope that now doesn't want to leave simply because they need him. They need him there for preparing the structure, the progress.
What?
well, the arrival of the African, the Black Pope, but also to prepare the openness to dismissing the whole papacy thing as it never happened, and saying that he's only the Bishop of Rome, and from this moment onwards, all the Christian churches have to unite, and then at that point open to the one world religions with Muslim, Jews, and Buddhists and everybody else. That is going to become the religion of the Antichrist, which I have discussed in volume 7. Now, discussing volume 7, I want to actually cite a specific, let's see if I find it here, a specific passage which regards, of course, what we've been citing at the beginning of the show, the discovery that everybody's talking about here. You know, it's about actually volume 9. It's even more specific on this topic, which I think is very important to discuss now. Okay, even Joe Rogan has talked about it. Everybody is talking about it around the world, but I think that maybe this time you are going to regret believing in a mystery city under the pyramids before we have further confirmation. However, there is already some indications, even in this article in The Sun, that not everybody is convinced. Now, why I'm talking about this whole thing? Because I know some of the people involved, and in particular, I know Corrado Malanga. Now, they claim this is what should be found under the three pyramids, in particular what they already claim they have found using a radar, and that of course deep under the earth has found these cylindrical wells that seem like a Z, the Z which is the spinal cortex of Osiris, which is also the symbol of stability in ancient Egypt. In this discovery that they claim might be the biggest discovery of the new millennium, there is though some people who already have some doubts, like Professor Lawrence Converse, who works at the University of Denver, specializing in radar and archaeology, who told the Daily Mail that radar pulses could not possibly detect what is that far underground. So I wanted to discuss this topic today because I also have images of the press conference in Italian that has not yet been made in English, so very few people know about this press conference. And in essence, even Corrado Malanga himself, yes, confirms the whole thing, but then he's also saying, well, we should see, when we have further evidence, I will expose myself further, because he is, of course, afraid of being exposed as a charlatan. Let's remember that one of the people involved in this whole thing is Corrado Malanga, somebody who I have criticized in volume 1 of my Confessions, because he was involved with these regressive hypnotic therapies that were then used by a sect called Stargate, that then unleashed their practitioners on unwilling ladies that then were forced into sexual deprivation. Yes. But this is what they claim they have discovered.
The internal structure of the Great Pyramid of Giza. Now, this model has revealed a previously unknown chamber with 5 horizontal levels and a sloping roof, which in of itself is an architectural design unlike any previously documented in the Giza Pyramid. But the most shocking discovery lies beneath the surface. Below ground level, radar tomography has identified vertical cylindrical structures extending for hundreds of meters beneath the pyramid.
That's the problem. Radar tomography, is it capable of going so deep? The critics say it's not. I mean,
so what are they trying to pull, those Italians?
This is the thing, guys. We need to be very careful. I mean, this study using geophysical and remote techniques, specifically what is known as synthetic aperture radar Doppler tomography, are not so accurate. And they say, they conclude that there are 8 huge columns under the second pyramid, the Khafre pyramid. That's why it's known as the Khafre project. And I know that Malanga has been talking about this project for the last few years. And they also made a discovery, but not this team, another team a couple of years ago, of a room in another of the pyramid, the bigger pyramid. But this specific discovery that apparently has been made 2 kilometers under the ground with these raiders. Now, we cannot evaluate the legitimacy or validity of this assertion until we have further details, because otherwise we become like Joe Rogan that believes in the fairy tales of any lunatic going on his show. And I mean, I appreciate the possibility. I actually look forward to further, announcement that might be made. But at the moment, it's not convincing as it is.
Are 8 of these cylindrical wells arranged in 2 parallel rows, descending to an astonishing depth of 648 meters. Even more intriguing, at the base of these structures are 2 massive cubic formations measuring approximately 80 meters in diameter. The tomographic data suggests that these are vertical wells with intricate spiral pathways. Now, this design not only implies a functional purpose, but also a level of sophisticated engineering that completely blows the dynastic Egyptian model out of the water.
Now, those specific elements brings us to the Z. Now,
the Z?
The Z.
Z is a Z.
Is
Are you
it?
saying Z like Z? Like the alphabet Z?
Yeah, but Z is known as Z.
Is it called Z?
It's
Okay.
called Z. And
Okay.
I was actually made acquainted with this thing when I was initiated into the 90 and 95 of the Egyptian rite of Freemasonry.
Oh,
I was actually introduced to this symbol. They gave me this symbol, and the Z. It's known as in Italy they call it the Z or the Z. And so here a little bit of information on what it could be, at least at a symbolic level, is very important, decoding the Z or the Z, as we call it.
Is an ancient Egyptian symbol that represents stability and endurance. It is a column with 4 parallel bars at the top, representing the 4 cardinal points of the compass. The Djed was often associated with the god Osiris, who was believed to be the god of the underworld and the judge of the dead. In ancient Egyptian mythology, Osiris was also associated with the fertility of the land and the annual inundation of the Nile, which was crucial for the survival of the civilization. The Djed was also used as a talisman and was believed to have protective powers. It was often placed in tombs and other sacred spaces and was sometimes worn as an amulet. In modern times, the Djed continues to be a popular symbol in Egyptian culture and is often used in art, jewellery and other decorative items. The Djed has a long history in ancient Egyptian culture and has been dated back to the pre-dynastic period, circa 6000 to 3150 BCE. It is believed to have originally represented a pillar or column that supported the roof of a building or a shrine. Over time, the symbol came to be associated with the god Osiris and was used as a symbol of stability and endurance. The Djed was a popular symbol in ancient Egypt and appeared in a variety of contexts, including tombs, temples, and other sacred spaces. It was often depicted in art and was worn as an amulet for protection. The Djed continues to be a significant symbol in Egyptian culture and is still used and revered today. Many people confuse the Djed with the Ankh, but the Djed and the Ankh are 2 distinct symbols.
So this symbol, though, could in reality be what they have allegedly found with the raider.
I mean, the pyramid itself was already a massive red flag in the ancient Egyptian historical narrative. But now, with this discovery, I think it's become impossible to say that the Egyptian civilizations that we understand, that we've been taught about, were responsible for building these structures. And it doesn't even end there.
According to a recent press release, the Khafre Pyramid, is the tip of a very large iceberg. So there was a big press release that came out of Italy, made by Corrado Malanga, Armando May, and Filippo Biondi.
Okay, let's go directly to the conference that was done a week ago exactly by this three gentlemen in Italy. And I will translate just a little of this conference, because I think it's important that people realize the fact that we are still in the realm of pseudoscience. While in other discoveries we have, let's say, some more credible sources here, until we have any confirmation from also the archaeological department of Egypt and IVAS, the great head there, IVAS, the great head of the whole thing there. It's a little bit difficult to say if we can confirm everything with certainty. So let me show you for a second a passage of this conference in Italy. This is the press release. Now, unfortunately, to this day, we don't have an English version of this press release. And so it's a little bit difficult to, but we will try our best.
Qualcosa che ha a che fare con reazioni chimiche o con la possibilità di estrarre.
Now, one thing that I want to say is that none of the academics, including Corrado Malanga, are archaeologists. I mean, Corrado Malanga used to be a chemistry professor at the University of Pisa. Okay, that's fine, but he's not an archaeologist. And the other guys that are also involved in this project, none of them is an archaeologist. So, okay, they are academics, but they are not specialized. Now, in regards to what Greg Rees said, I spoke actually with Greg Rees 3 days ago on the phone. It was 3 or 4 days ago.
3 or 4 days.
Yes, we talked about this. Greg told me about this discovery, and I told them that I knew very well what he was talking about, because Corrado Malanga is somebody I've discussed since volume 1, is somebody that is well known in Italy for his controversial approach to certain topics. And so for me, it was still in the realm of pseudoscience. This is actually, let me see if we can. This is Corrado Malanga who is talking. There is maybe some images of him as he shows the various things during this conference. This was the press conference that was done a week ago. And it's important that we discuss this whole thing, because, of course, I am really afraid that it could transform itself in a nothing burger if we don't have further confirmation. Zahi Haivas is a guy who is very controversial. I don't know if you remember him, Christy, but he was always on all those documentaries on the History channels back in the days,
I don't know. I didn't really watch it.
But he's a friend of Vincenzo Viceversa. He's also a friend, yes, he's a friend of the guy who does the music at the end of our show, and he's also the guy who does all my book covers. So I mean,
not that guy, but the guy that he's friends with.
Zahi Haivas is a friend of Vincenzo Viceversa, who came to Perugia, made a conference also with Leonardo Loveri. They made a
really?
book also with Leonardo Loveri.
He did?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know why. He doesn't need any money, it means, because he's such a rip-off merchant, Leonardo Loveri.
For real?
In any case, Vincenzo Viceversa will be my guest in the coming days on my own Italian show, and I might ask him what is going on with this whole thing. We don't have yet an official position by Zayevas, but we already know what Malanga has said in the past of Zayevas. He called him a crook from the intelligence services, this and that. So I don't know how it's going to end up, this whole thing. In the conference that they did in Italy a week ago, the one that I showed you, what happened? It happened that basically Malanga says, I have a few ideas of what it could be, what could be under there, but I also need further evidence. So he doesn't want to, no? So in the meantime, we have all these newspapers from the Sun to that are talking about it, to the Daily Mail. I mean, you just go on this whole thing, and you can find so much about it. Like I said,
Seems like a big distraction.
Well, I mean, Joe Rogan waits in. Let's see what Joe Rogan said, just so we can have a look at what Joe Rogan. Maybe Joe Rogan should have me on. I can explain him who Malanga and these guys are. So maybe
He won't.
He will never.
Never ever.
Okay, so here it says, while new theories emerge. Sorry, here is Daily Mail. Let me see if we can. It says, while new theories emerge after scientists came to have discovered a vast city, and then researchers from Italy and Scotland, which is
mind-blowing. Woo!
Ooh. Rogan said, "This is insane." I'm quoting Joe Rogan. You want to read what Joe Rogan said?
Okay, this is insane. It's quite stunning. They don't understand what it is, but it's a uniform structure. There are several pillars, and all of this is very, very, very weird. It's really crazy.
Yeah, it's very crazy, but we need to have further confirmation. So let's not fall for it until we have further confirmation, like these people already discussing. Like,
so far, apparently there's going to be a lot more released fairly soon.
Oh, yes.
But we'll just look at what we know so far.
Okay.
And I got this from Trevor Grassi's Facebook page. So thank you, Trevor. Much appreciated for keeping everybody up to date. So here's what we know so far, and we're getting this information from the abstract that was released on the 16th of March. Quote, this abstract summarizes the key points of our research, which aimed to clarify the possible hidden structures inside the second pyramid of the Giza Plateau, known as the Khafre Pyramid. This research was conducted using non-invasive techniques based on publicly available synthetic aperture radar, i.e. SAR, data, provided as open source by Capella Space and Umbra, and there's some websites associated with that. It then goes on to describe the first step that was taken before this, which was the project to scan the Khufu Pyramid, and a few of the results of that. In fact, I did an episode on this when the information came out, and I've since
So here there is a lot of information being brought out. In the meantime, guys, don't forget Buona Vita, our sponsor that makes possible this show. Yes, Buona Vita of Dr. Faro with his great products. Christy in particular seems to have taken today BB Espresso. Christy,
I did.
Why did you take BB Espresso?
For extra energy, because I needed it, because I was a little bit tired, and I didn't think I would make it, because I made all those pizzas today.
Yes.
And so I wanted to have more energy.
It works
for the
out
show.
very good.
Well, it does. I take it, I make it in a little bit of almond milk and mix it up, and it tastes really good. And it does not have caffeine in it, so it's not a stimulant.
Okay, powerful antioxidant benefits, over 14 certified organic foods, almost 50 different superfoods, detoxification of body system, no sugar added, alkalized body and balanced pH, enzyme, probiotic, and fiber for digestion, improve immune function. All of this, of course, calling Dr. Faro at 863-676-2225. Guys, this is a great product. Please support the show by purchasing Dr. Faro's Buona Vita products, and let's continue with the show.
So you'll see on my channel there's a fairly recent version of that as well. So let's just keep looking at what the new stuff is. The tomographical images obtained from the satellite data processing immediately highlighted the presence of 5 structures located at the center of the pyramid above Belzoni's chamber, which contained a presumed sarcophagus, mistakenly believed to be the pharaoh's tomb. The abstract paper then goes on to say that these structures share the same shape as the so-called Z structure found inside the pyramid of Khufu, above the ceiling of the so-called pharaoh's or king's chamber. The 5 Zs in the Khafre pyramid appear to be connected
Well, it
by
makes sense that this kind of, that a symbol that represents stability will be made, will be found under the pyramid to make that pyramid stable. It makes sense in a way, no?
Yeah.
At the same time, though, we need to have further confirmation, because a lot of criticism, especially from there is people, experts, not only average folks, that are saying that this kind of they call it radar Doppler tomography that should have revealed this whole structure of under this pyramid. It's not, doesn't go as deep. We're talking about giant and deep structures that are supposed to be under the second pyramid, the one of Khafre, filled with networks of tunnels, etc. And so there is a lot of experts that, not only me, that are skeptical in this regards. So I will not make any bombastic, claims about what it is until we know if it is. Huh? Is that correct to say?
Yeah.
pathways, and alongside these structures, additional.
It's gonna actually. You say it doesn't change,
It's
you're
not
right?
gonna
But it's
change
gonna
why.
change. It's gonna change the course of history if there is proven something that seems to not even be of terrestrial origin, or at least not of a civilization. I mean, we are talking about the antediluvian civilizations. And you remember we made a whole episode of the exploring the occult Illuminati about antediluvian civilizations of ancient that pre-existed even before Noah's Ark in the Judaic tradition, or Gilgamesh. For that, there was an ancient civilization, what we call Atlantis, what I discussed at the end of volume 9 of my Confessions.
Well, that's
Now,
cool.
I would like you to read this, Christy, because I think this is page 233, I think.
Yeah.
As if I need glasses, of volume 9 of my Confessions, because this is about advanced technology indistinguishable from magic.
Advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. Arthur C. Clarke, scientist, science writer, and author of science fiction stories like 2001: A Space Odyssey, wrote in 1962 in his book Profiles of the Future, an inquiry into the limits of the possible. And any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. This statement is the third of 3 adages known as Clarke's 3 laws, where the third law is the most known and the most widely cited. They are all part of Clarke's ideas exposed in his extensive writings about the future.
Very interesting, very interesting. And guys, if you want to know more also about my own take on Atlantis and what it means for the Illuminati, volume 9 is the ideal book. Of course, it's a very important book in this regards. But we have still some news that I would like to discuss. We're talking often about the rise of the Fourth Reich, of this European Union made out of technocrats and of Jesuits, because we also discovered how the Jesuits are behind the European Union. Now, Germany's Baerbock is the foreign minister, that woman that allegedly we said maybe went with that prostitute in Nigerian product, the whole story.
Oh, yeah,
you remember?
yeah.
Okay. Now, she met for the second time with the Syrian leader. The guy looks a little like Padre Pio with the big beard. For the second time, she was humiliated and he didn't shake her hand. So the Europeans keep on giving millions to these terrorists who, since they have been in power in Syria, have persecuted Christians. They have killed thousands of women, of innocents, Alawites, Christians, and minorities. And Europe keeps on giving them money. And at the same time, they are humiliated. And check out just this clip, which shows you how the Europeans are completely sick in the head if they support this former, between brackets, terrorists, now simply because they put a jacket and a tie seem to be polished. You know? Guys, incredible. Maybe if you want to know more of what Syria is all about, volume 10 of my confession is the ideal book, because there is so much confusion about the topic of Islam, about the topic of secret societies and Freemasonry in the Middle East, like it never existed, always blaming the Jews. And of course, so then you have a favorite of all the conspiracy theories. Leo Zagami said true, and all this BS. Guys,
and they pay for
they
you, like they fund this show.
Oh,
I would tell you who funds this show.
Yeah.
All of you who are watching right now
Yes.
that buy the book and support us fund this show, and our sponsors fund the show. And so, I mean, that's who funds this show. We're all here on our own. There's nobody behind us except God. And that's all you need, because with God, you have everything.
that's very nice. That's very good. And thank you, Gracie, for saying that.
I just get sick of hearing it, all the bullshit that I have to read. I mean, to get insulted over and over again when you're doing God's work, you know, God's going to get really mad one day, and they're going to get it.
Well, guys, Hungary seems to be the only country which is not digesting all the lies that are spewed daily by Brussels and by the technocrats, together with Macron, want to continue to wage war against Russia. We have seen this week, unfortunately, what has happened with Kiev blowing up an important Russian gas substation, which is part of the only remaining gas pipeline, which goes into Europe. So the prices immediately went skyrocketed in Europe because they are paying more and more for gas. But Zelensky doesn't really want peace. Zelensky doesn't want peace, guys. I came to the conclusion that there is no way we can deal with this lunatic of Zelensky. He simply wants to continue getting more and more money. And I tell you who is really behind this whole thing. It's going to be a little bit weird for you to conceive what I'm about to tell you, but it's not about Europe only. It's also about China. China wants Europe to be in this war and wants to be further in. You know, the more Europe is in crisis, the more easy for the Chinese to buy out everything. When we were in Italy, what did the Chinese do? They buy out everything, buy bars, restaurants, everything.
And they bought my grandma's house in Brooklyn.
Okay.
There's some Chinese people there now.
But in any case, the Chinese now seem to want to also have a piece of the cake and come into an hypothetical peace settlement. But up until now, I think that they have been also somehow, they have an ambivalent kind of situation where they support Russia, which has been, of course, leaning on China to survive, and so making them really more and more dependent on them. And on the other side, you have them also in Europe, and China wants to continue developing what they call the new Silk Road. And let's not forget, the Chinese and the Jesuits work hand in hand for almost 500 years. They are like the longest love story in history. And it's true. The Chinese and the Jesuits guy work hand in hand. And so all these Illuminati, Freemasons and stuff that depend from the Jesuits work also along with this project. This project that, of course, is a project that will eventually manifest with the AI in 2030, with the cyber Satan we've always been talking about. That's unfortunate, but that's what's happening here. Now, no. I hope not. I hope not. In the meantime, guys, we have still a bunch of deranged individuals around the world.
Are you talking about the Teslas?
No. I was still talking about Zelensky, who think they can deal, because they have these rare earths. But in reality, the president of Congo went on Fox, and he has some of the biggest reservoirs of rare earth and gold and stuff. And
they got a lot of gold down there in Congo.
But they also have rare earth, which is the specifics for the new technology. And he offered, actually, this Felix said, all the Chinese, they are digging, and without our permission, they're doing things that they shouldn't do, and they are bringing an unstable situation to our region. If Trump helps us bring peace, we will give him a piece of this cake, which is a big cake. Check this out.
President of the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Mr. President, thank you for being here. I want to start with this. The Trump administration is interested in securing exclusive mineral deals with countries rich in rare earth minerals. We saw that obviously recently with Ukraine. Can you talk about the discussions for a deal with your country?
Très bien, merci. Thank you very much. Good evening to you. We are looking for partnerships, and we have established partnerships with many other countries, and we think the United States of America, given its role and influence around the world, is an important partner to have. And we are very happy to see that with the Trump administration, things are moving a lot faster on both sides.
Untapped deposits are worth an estimated $24 trillion. What would you need to happen to move forward with that relationship?
We want to extract these minerals, but also process them, as this would create a lot of jobs. And we want a partnership that will provide lasting peace and stability for our countries, which we need.
It's a dangerous place, the Congo. How would a U.S. company guarantee safety on the ground?
We can build our defense and security capabilities. And I think that the U.S. is able to use either pressure or sanctions to make sure that armed groups who are in the DRC can be kept at bay.
Mr. President, the United States has been concerned about China's influence in Africa, particularly in the DRC. How would you manage this relationship with Beijing while maintaining ties with the U.S. that you obviously want to expand?
Nature abhors a vacuum, as the saying goes. It's not that China is waxing in Africa. It's more that America is waning in Africa, and we would be very happy to have our American friends here who used to be more present than China in the 70s and 80s.
Well, I mean, let's see what the Jesuits have to say, because they have their long hand in all the affairs of the African states, guys. The Vatican is very much present there. So I hope that this president stays alive and he can maybe formalize some kind of deal with the United States. It would be great. I mean, to get, I would prefer personally to get my rare air from him than from Zelensky. I think Zelensky is such a big crook.
I didn't think that was going to ever happen.
I mean, I don't think it's going to ever happen, because it's actually Germany and Europe and France that want those rare earth, and they want to continue this war against Russia. They want to build their own military industrial complex now with this 800 billion euros plan, which, of course, is going to be force-fed to every single European after the pandemic crisis has already crippled their economies. So Europe is in a very bad place. But thank you so much, guys, for tuning in today. Remember, if you want to eat some great food, today I had some great pizzas. You can learn how to make pizza, how to make fresh pasta, how to make also fresh sauces. And remember, if you
I made ravioli yesterday.
Very nice.
Really
if you need a hand and to transform your own kitchen in a 5-star Italian restaurant,
that's what I made. Well, yeah.
This yesterday, fantastic. Yeah, this is fantastic. I mean, there is so many great recipes, and the way that Christy describes every single recipe is very linear, very easy to understand. And guys, you can substitute all the rubbish ingredients that you will get in a restaurant with quality ingredients, and then with I don't say you're going to be spending zero, because we know that ingredients are more and more expensive these days, but definitely you're going to be spending less than what you spend in a restaurant.
Well, we got a pizza on our anniversary last year, and it cost $60.
I mean, it wasn't even worth it.
And the guy, he got lost on the way, and he couldn't even find us.
So in the end, we got this pizza. It was fairly cold.
It was cold, and it wasn't very good.
But still, there was nice memories.
Well, yeah, because it was our anniversary.
Yes.
But I wish the pizza would have been good.
But Christy's pizza
So now
making,
we just get, I'm the best pizza in Palm Springs, just about.
Absolutely,
almost,
absolutely.
Probably.
And I tell you guys, on top of that, you can also prepare your own pasta with great sauces, different one. I mean, this is about Italian cooking, but it's not boring. I tell you, Italian cooking can be, there's a variety of things that you can make. And Chris is already preparing maybe a second volume. Take it easy, but I'm sure that
I haven't even started yet.
But you are already putting those ideas together. I see you every time you cook. So,
yeah, that's
and
true.
there is some great stuff.
It's hard making a cookbook.
It's hard making a cookbook. But in any case, guys, we will see you during the week, because we always have a show around the Wednesday or Thursday. Wednesday or Thursday? Because, guys, Wednesday, I don't know. Thursday seems to be maybe more successful. Please tell us, what is the day, aside from Saturday, you want to see us in your homes? Let us know with a mail.
Doesn't matter really for us which
At
day.
ordoilluminatoriuniversalis@gmail.com, or contact us through our social net. Let us know. Let us know. And thank you so much for tuning in today, and continue to support us. And remember, the products of the great Dr. Farro that you can find, especially the strawberry kiwi. Now, Christy loves the strawberry kiwi. It's a great product. What is the strawberry kiwi all about, Christy? Because, I mean, you seem to be going crazy for the strawberry kiwi. Every time he sends some, you finish the strawberry. It's like, you love strawberry kiwi. So what is so special about the strawberry kiwi?
No, I do like it. I do.
Yeah.
And it's got powerful antioxidant benefits, improves your immune function, balanced superfood blend, no added sugar, enzymes, probiotics, and fiber for digestion, over 10 certified organic foods, no stimulants or caffeine, detoxification of body systems, and you can alkalize your body and pH.
And you can find it,
balanced pH.
Of course, you can order it by calling, because he's old school, Dr. Farro. So call him at +1 863 676-2225, or if you are in Florida, just drop by at this office, spa, whatever, in Lake Wales, and I'm sure that he's going to love a visit from people who follow the Leo Zagami show, as he's a true patriot like you guys. And at this point, we salute you with Vincenzo Viceversa's Medioeval. Yes, it's arriving, guys. It's coming. It's the music, the sound of Vincenzo Viceversa, who is also the author of a fantastic book cover and images of Albert Telepandemia. See you next time.
In that time, our world has taken so many steps in the wrong direction.
Party!
Friday with the Zagami.
Oh, yes!
How you like it?
Yes!
What was that?
I don't know.
Utopia, science, technology, social organization, dehumanization, in the negative utopia, science, technology, social organization. Technology, social organization, dehumanization. Technology, social organization.